So, Lone Rider here, and I just wanted to throw something out there for everybody. This is a photo I took in Watchung Reservation uh, January 8th, 2018, on a Monday morning. And what it shows is ATV trailers on the back of trucks. Now, what happens is periodically they do a deer hunt there. And the people come with their ATVs and they go off into the woods to hunt the deer, which, okay, that's fine as far as it goes. Um, so you consider the caption I put on here, and that's um, ATVs but no bicycles. And that's exactly the case. There's a policy in Watchung Reservation right now saying you're not allowed to ride your mountain bike there. And the rationale behind this is that they say that the mountain bikes will ruin the trails and blah, blah, blah. Um, Now, prior to mountain biking being banned in a backroom meeting by the unelected in 1995, nobody ever bothered to document a single instance of trail damage, and they never did any trail studies or trail surveys or anything like that. But it is worth noting that, well, if the government is concerned that a bicycle will cause damage, what about what's essentially a four-wheeled motorized motorcycle? Um, and then you have the fact that these hunts are scheduled for set days, so they go to the trouble to schedule them. They're not going to cancel them on account of foul weather. So even if it's raining that day, or indeed has been raining for a week, or there's snow, as in this picture, and then the snow has, let's say, started to melt, and the ground is soggy and muddy and prone to damage and ruts and things like that, they're still going to do the hunt, and people are still going to tear down the trails on these ATVs. Um, in fact, last year, I didn't get a picture of it, unfortunately, but last year I saw one gentleman, I use that word loosely, who'd backed his pickup truck all the way off the pavement and started to back down the trailhead before stopping. Um, fortunately it was a double wide trail, so it was a double track at that point. So he was able to, you know, sort of fit his truck on there. I mean, he damaged the trail quite a bit, but he didn't, hit a tree or anything on the side. But yeah, it's kind of disingenuous for the government to be like, well, we don't want people riding their bicycle there, but we're totally cool with people tearing through there on ATVs and so forth. Now I understand they could, and people have made the argument. Well, the ATVs are only used occasionally, during the year. This hunt occurs, several days over, let's say, a week's period or a month's period. So okay, maybe they're only using them 4 or 5 times a year. Um, the fact remains that in those 4 or 5 times that they're using them, they can do damage that you would never see done by somebody on a mountain bike. Even regular mountain bike use, because you're talking about something that's not a mountain bike. You're talking about something that's a motorized vehicle that weighs hundreds and hundreds of pounds, that generates an incredible amount of torque, that has a much wider wheelbase, bigger tires, etc. So it's going to go where the mountain bikes probably couldn't, and it's going to do a lot of damage in a very short period of time, much more than you could do with a mountain bike. And I have seen the trails after they rode on these in certain areas of the trails where they're, let's say, prone to, you know, there being certain wetter sections of trail, in particular near the trailhead. Um, it looks like somebody tore through there with an army. The trails are just totally chewed up, totally, um, a total morass. And the funny thing is they don't fix it. They gripe about how mountain bikers are so horrible and we should be banned. But when they schedule this hunt and people come through with their ATVs and tear up the trail, and then they don't even bother to fix it, and they leave the trails in bad condition, but then they complain that the mountain bikers, if we allow mountain biking, it's going to damage the trails. Well, honestly, how the hell would you know, since the trails are already in such a state? um, and I don't have anything against the hunters. I certainly, I wish them a safe and successful hunt, and all of that. I just wish the government would acknowledge the hypocrisy of allowing even part-time use of ATVs um, on these trails, especially in inclement conditions where the trail damage can be exacerbated. But at the same time as they're allowing people to tear through the woods on what are essentially four-wheeled motorcycles, they're they're saying, no, sorry, you're not allowed to ride your bicycle. It's going to do too much harm. So that's the hypocrisy of the Watchung mountain bike ban, and just one more illustration of it. So, thank you. Lone Rider out.